Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most recognizable, yet maybe one of the most misunderstood and destructive personality types out there, the grandiose narcissist. We see them in movies, on TV, but really understanding how they show up in our actual lives, well, that's absolutely crucial.
So let me just ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship that just feels like a roller coaster? You know the feeling. One day you're soaring, you feel like the most special person in the world. And the next, you're in a free fall, completely crushed, wondering what in the world just happened.
It's this constant yo-yoing that can make you feel like you're going crazy. You wake up in the morning with this knot in your stomach, never really knowing what kind of day it's going to be. And those good days, oh, they can be so good, so intoxicating that they keep you hooked. They keep you hoping, even while the bad days are just slowly, steadily chipping away at you. All right, so who is the person behind the controls of this wild ride? Let's get into the profile of the grandiose narcissist. A lot of people consider this type to be the, dictionary definition of narcissism. You know the type. They're charming, they're confident, they're cocky, and they are completely unapologetic about it. They just suck all the air out of a room the second they walk in. And on the surface, it looks like this incredible self-love, this unshakable confidence. But what's going on underneath? Well, that's a whole other story. And here's where we see the two faces. On the outside, you see someone who was probably told how great they were their whole lives, maybe got everything they wanted materially. But underneath all that, they were often completely starved for real emotional connection. And that mismatch creates this deep, cavernous insecurity that their entire personality is built to hide. This internal battle really fuels what we can call the triple threat. First up, entitlement. This is a core belief that the rules just don't apply to them. Second, you've got grandiosity, this really inflated sense of being more important than anyone else. And the knocked out punch, a profound lack of empathy. This combination is exactly what makes them so damaging.
Okay, so that's the theory, but let's talk about how these traits actually translate into real-world damage. Because this isn't just a personality quirk, it creates patterns of abuse that can ripple out and affect every single part of your life. And let's start where it often hurts the most, in our intimate relationships. This is where that roller coaster usually feels the most intense. So if this person is your partner, it is just emotionally draining. They have this bottomless pit of a need for validation, what's often called narcissistic supply. They need you to fill it constantly. They're often masters of gaslighting, twisting things around until you question your own reality. And that amazing over-the-top affection at the beginning, the love bombing, that's the hook. But it always fades, and you're left just feeling empty and confused. And this right here really gets to the heart of the trap. People on the outside always ask, why do you stay? Well, it's because the good days feel so incredibly good, they keep you addicted. You're always chasing that initial high, that memory of how things used to be. It's an incredibly powerful hook. Now, let's shift gears a bit and look at family dynamics. Because what happens when the grandiose narcissist is someone you grew up with, like a parent or a sibling? Growing up in that kind of environment is just profoundly unstable. As a child, you're either invisible or you become their handmaid. Your whole purpose is to make them feel good about themselves. If it's a sibling, they can just suck all the oxygen out of the room. And you'll often see other family members enable the behavior, especially if it means they get some kind of financial benefit from it. And of course, this kind of damage doesn't just stay at home. It very often follows you right into the workplace, which can be the perfect playground for a grandiose narcissist. At work, you often see them as the golden goose boss. This is the superstar who brings in all the money, lands the huge deals, wins all the awards. They deliver. And because of that, the company is more than willing to look the other way, no matter how terribly they treat the people working under them. I mean, who wants to kill the golden goose, right? These bosses build a little court around themselves, full of people who just tell them what they want to hear. They're little flying monkeys. Their charm wins over higher-ups, for sure. But the minute you see through the act, you become a target. They will gaslight you, they will isolate you, and they will do whatever it takes to push you out. Okay, I know hearing all of this can feel really heavy and maybe a little hopeless, but here's the thing. You are not powerless. So let's pivot from the problem to the solution. Let's open up the survival toolkit and talk about what you can actually do. The absolute foundation, the place you have to start, is with something called radical acceptance. This isn't about approving of their behavior. It's about seeing the reality of the situation with total clarity. You have to accept that they are not going to change. Because, frankly, why would they? The behavior works for them. It gets them what they want. You have to let go of that hope, that wishful thinking, that you'll be the one to finally fix them.
So, once you have that acceptance, here's your new playbook. It's the 4 don'ts. When they try to pull you into an argument, do not engage. When you feel that powerful urge to make them understand your point of view, do not explain. When they attack your character, do not defend. And, this is the hardest one, do not personalize it. Their behavior is a reflection of them, not of you.
And when you really commit to this approach, something amazing starts to happen. You'll find you can set boundaries and actually hold them. You'll stop wasting so much precious emotional energy. You'll feel so much less disappointment. And ultimately, this puts you in the strongest possible position to do what is really the gold standard in these situations, to leave.
Now, there is one more short-term tactic you can use, sometimes called narcissistic fluffing. This is basically where you strategically give them a little bit of that validation they're craving just to buy yourself some time or to get them off your back. It might be useful with a boss right before a huge presentation. But just be warned, it is exhausting, it feels completely inauthentic, and it is definitely not a long-term solution. So after all of this, after all the damage, the gaslighting, the exhaustion, it begs a really big question, right? If they're so destructive, why are we so drawn to them in the first place? What is the allure of the grandiose? And I think for a lot of us, it really comes down to this. We want to believe in the fairy tale. We want that magical movie moment where the most charming, the most confident, the shiniest person in the whole room, the one everyone is watching, turns around and chooses you. It feels like winning the lottery. And that is a really, really powerful fantasy. So maybe the answer is to completely flip the script on what we find attractive. This quote really says it all. Look for the authentic, quiet, humble person in the corner, because that's where the wisdom lurks. What if we started valuing that instead? So what's the big takeaway here? By all means, be entertained by the shiny, grandiose people out there. Just don't ever, ever entrust them with your vulnerability. And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. Why are we, as a whole society, so attuned to the shiniest object of all?